upgraded 2110s up on our dyno. This one's for Brian Bressinger out of Pennsylvania. It's going to go in a 66 VW bus, 21 window. This one has the upgraded head, so we should be in the 145, 150 range. We're running the dual 44 carburetors. We're running the powder coated gloss black fan shroud as an option. He's got the A1 Deluxe Sidewinder exhaust with a straight back tailpipe outlet, V-band. And we're running the Renegade MST pulleys and the MST billet valve covers. People want to ask how much. I get it, I understand, but this is a customer's motor, so respectfully, we're not going to quote on the internet or online. Give us a call if you have an inquiry or any questions. You can go to our website, Powerhaus VW Parts. We have engine combinations on there, very easy to use, options, drop downs, and you can add or remove some of these options I told you about. If you need a shipping quote, out of country is a little expensive right now, and we'd rather you supply your own shipping source. We can box it up for you for $250. Anywhere in the States, we'll box it up and ship it. We're gonna go ahead and get this cranked over for oil pressure. What I'm gonna do is, we haven't put fuel to it yet, so we're just gonna hold the throttle wide open and crank it over until we get pressure. Once you get oil pressure, you put fuel to it, and then we'll get this thing fired up. Turn on the fuel pump, check for leaks. Hear the float bowls filling up. Wait till they fill up, give it a couple squirts. Nothing yet. There we go. There we go, got a couple squirts. All right, let's get this thing fired up. First 20 minutes is done, everything sounds good. We're gonna adjust the valves. I hear a little bit on that side, that's expected on a new motor. Synchronize the carburetors. What you saw me doing is adjusting the front and the back, syncing them together. So there's air bleed bypasses, so if the front one's a little bit different than the back one, you use the air bleed bypass screws, and you can balance that out. All right, I'm gonna adjust the valves right now. I'm gonna go ahead and put it on TDC first, and then I'm gonna pull the cap up and see if that's number 1 or number 3. So let's pick this up for a second. And it's pointing to number 1, so we're on number 1. All right, so we'll go ahead and remove the valve cover. Actually, we'll go ahead and remove the muffler first in a minute here. And the clamp's a little loose already, so it should just come right off. So, let's get this out of the way. It's the breather. And we'll remove the back clamp. Screw back on there, later. The cool thing about the A1 exhaust is you can actually just loosen the clamp on the V-bands and then rotate it down. Rotate it downward. This one has the, for an early bus, it has a straight back tip, so it would hit the bumper. So in this case, you'd have to move this too, but since it's not in the car, we're able to rotate it down. And it's gonna probably drop some oil. So we'll put that there. A couple rags ready. We'll take the cover off, see how everything looks inside. Extension. A little bit. Everything looks good in here. Let's get some of this oil out so it doesn't drop on the ground. Yeah, everything looks good. Motor's stone cold. And we're gonna put these valves at 0. So I'm on number 1. I'm gonna start with number 1 intake and exhaust. And we're looking for 0 lash. 0 lash means you should be able to spin the push rod. This back one's sometimes hard to get, so I reach up here and make sure the lash cap spins and that there's no free play this way. So this one, I can feel like a little teeny bit. This one, I can spin the thing. I can spin the lash cap. No movement. I'm just gonna make sure the adjuster's tight. This one, we're gonna go ahead and tighten it a little. Still spinning. Yeah, a little bit more, make it spin so it feels little tension. I mean, everybody has a little different theory on that. I'm gonna spin it so it has a little tension. I mean, these things warm up so quickly, it'll grow to 11 thousandths in no time. So that's good. No free play. Let me go ahead and hit it a little more. Back it up. Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's a nice little drag, and it's good there. I always check these bolts, the rocker side bolts, just to make sure they're not loose. So we got the intake and exhaust done on number 1. And then I like to go clockwise, so we'll go 1, 4, 3, 2. So we'll spin the motor over to number 2. And what I do, there we go. Spin the motor over to number. So we're on TDC, that's 1. The firing order goes 1, 4. So we'll go 180 degrees. bottom dead center, BDC. So now we're gonna go to this side. Do the same thing, we'll take the valve cover off. Get the breather out of the way. Everything looks good in here. Wipe the oil again so it doesn't drip. That should be good. And let's get our wrench. So we're on number 4 right here. We'll do intake and exhaust. That one has a little bit excessive play. This one has a little bit too. So again, we'll check the side bolts. Those look good. Back this one up a little bit. Out of the jam nut. We want it just, so I can't get my hand back in the back here. So we're gonna make sure the latch cap spins. There it goes, yeah, it spins. It's got a little drag to it, I like that. Like I said, once you fire it up, it'll grow pretty quickly. Yeah, that's nice. This one needs to be a little tightened up. So good. Now we'll go another 180 degrees and we'll get the number 3. So we went 1, 4, another 180 will put us at number 3. And we'll check number 3. That one has no play. This one has play. This one spins. That one's good. This one's just a little loose. Trouble. Yeah, there you go. All right. That one's done. So 143. We're on TDC again, but it's on number 3 this time. So now we'll go another 180 clockwise. And we'll put it on bottom dead center. And that should be back to over here to number 2. Spinning. That's got a little play. This one's good. So we'll just do the intake on number 2. I'll just snug that up a little bit. Start over there. Sometimes they just quick little movement. Sometimes you got to fiddle with it a little bit. This one I can't find the sweet spot. That got to be it. No. Man. How about that one? There we go. All right. So I went all the way around 1.432, did intake and exhaust in each cylinder. I'm gonna go ahead and rotate it around one more time and just double check. It's always nice to go through it maybe once or twice. I mean, shoot, sometimes even 3 times just to double check. When the motor's brand new and there's no oil in it, you actually can adjust number one intake and exhaust, and then by the time you get around to number 3, which is on the same lobes on the backside, and you adjust that side, and then you come back to number 1, you end up having one of those tight. Believe it or not, there's a little bit of free play between the bearings and the cam, and if there's no oil in the motor, just assembly lube, sometimes it pushes the cam back and forth a little, so you got to go through these valves a couple times. I mean, we do that too when there's oil in there too, so I mean, I see that a lot. So all right, so I went around again, everything looks good. We'll go ahead and put new valve cover gaskets in it so we don't have no problems. Let's put this right here. Gasket. This is a little wrench, so it might look like I'm putting a ton of pressure, but this is just a little teeny wrench, so I kind of like to snug them up anyway and go back and forth. Sometimes after I cycle the motor a couple times, we'll check those as well. It's ready, the muffler to go back up. So rotate this back this way. We got here the back old channels here. All right. All right, we'll snug the V-band up. Rotate it a little bit. And take that up. There's my little half-inch. So that's all done. Let's put the other side back together. Give it a little wipe. One little trick with these braided hose, of course, these are the older ones that are on our dyno, so we've used them a million times, so a little scratched up. But anyway, when you put those on, I've noticed that when you take them apart, they're full of oil, and when you put them back on and you snug them up, what I found is I go in here and I try to put some brake clean in between the, try to put a rag in there and put some brake clean or put some air, try to get it all out of it, because we get some oil residue in there, and what happens is when you run the motor again, not necessarily the breather ends, but like on the oil fittings, you'll see a little oil leak and you'll think, man, I got an oil leak from the fitting, and you'll wipe it off 2 or 3 times and eventually it'll stop leaking. So it's not really leaking, it just builds up around in the swivel section, and so it's good to kind of blow those out the best you can, especially on like the heavy oil lines. This is just a breather line. All right, so we got the valves all adjusted. We got it back together, and we're gonna get it fired up and warm it up a little bit, and then start putting it under a load, make sure everything's good, and we'll go from there. So get the fans back on here in a minute. All right. Everything else looked good, no oil leaks. And so once we put it under a load, do some more tests, just double check bolts and nuts, and then start boxing this one up.